education in entertainment, and you're talking about one Guyana. When the Ministry of Culture keep the big shows, one set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You hide the corruption inside the cup, look how we evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clouds. Then you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Baratans too, cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. I done fed up on the dirty water, low pressure, want scream and tell somebody. Imagine 1500 US and they're telling me.
You could probably, on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So
Get there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su. Oh, Su. My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
A very good evening to everyone. What a beautiful Saturday. Beautiful Saturday in the Northeast area here of the United States. I hope that you're all having a pleasant Saturday thus far. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to Over to You, a show for the people, by the people. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your program. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to share the link, like the program. It is yours, it's for you. Please guys, be active in the comments. Okay, I read all your comments. So please be very active. All right, I'm going to do a quick roll call before I get into things. Today we have quite a few things to discuss, huh? Quite a few things. A pleasant good evening to Miss Sandra Hanover. A pleasant good evening to the Honorable Mr. Victor Ben. Brother Matthew Dennison from Harlem. Good evening, Miss Francine Cruz. A pleasant good evening to you. Vashti Megnot, good evening. William Cozier, good evening. Desiree Smart Felix, pleasant good evening to you. Shelley De Ridder, good evening. Jacqueline Johnson, Mary Figueroa, a pleasant good evening to you. Miss Brenda Braithwaite, how are you doing? Good evening to you. Heather Malign, good evening. Good evening, Miss Dorcas John. The Honorable Keith Beresford, I see you, sir. A pleasant good evening to you. Yes, Keith, it is showtime. It is showtime. Terry Granville, yes, Granville, good evening. Good evening. Predator Glasgow, good evening. Good to see you. Miss Cheryl Pancham, good evening. Good evening, guys. Welcome to the program. Miss Audrey Brown, Mr. Chandrapal Mahabir, good to see you, my brother. Beverly Ann Romaine, oh yes, the freedom fighter, she's always there, omnipresent. Good evening, Beverly. Kennedy Flormont, good evening. Linden Gill, good evening. Sharma E. Grant, Melville, good evening. Fiona Harris, good evening. Welcome to the program. Carlisle Madhu, always here. Carlisle, good evening to you. And Golly God, my brother, thank you. It's good to see you. Lester Tom, Frank Rice, Linda Dainty, Good evening, guys. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the program. I'll just take 1 second. We all know that Guyana is a sovereign nation. Guyana belongs to us. So I'm going to just take 10 seconds to say our national motto, which is one people, one nation, one destiny. Again, our national motto is one people, one nation, one destiny. And we are going to recite that going forward on every program. Okay? We are going to recite our national motto. Okay? It is something that is national. It is not a party that created the motto. It's a national thing. Okay? So when you hear people talking about one Guyana, could one Guyana be definitive? One Guyana is not definitive. What are we speaking about when we say one Guyana? What are we speaking about? Okay? So the PPPC needs to get out of here with that. Okay? That's not jiving here. We know our national motto. Okay? We have not agreed to change it. Okay? And we're not changing it, period. It is going to always be one people, one nation, one destiny. Okay? So, Jagdio, you and your team, y'all need to go and come again because we are not hearing that. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, we know that Sister Melissa Atwell is still at a detention center, and we are all waiting for her to go through her due process, which is coming up this coming Friday. All right, we await that. In the meantime, we have work to do. Okay, in the interim, we have work to do. There is going to be another stand-up rally for Melissa this coming Tuesday. Same location, the Square of the Revolution, known as Coffee Square, Tuesday the 25th. Okay, and she's going to be seeing the judge on Friday the 28th. All right, so in the meantime, we continue to rally behind our sister. Yes, she's been in the trenches. We're going to continue to rally behind her. We're going to keep her in our thoughts and in our prayers. And we're going to continue to stand strong. All right. What the PPP has done here with her detention, they have just opened the Pandora box. And yes, we are going to be a bit humble for now, but once we get our sister back home with her family, oh man, I'm sorry for the PPP. I am sorry for them because, man, everything goes. Everything is on the table after that. Everything is on the table. Okay? They have taken the first shot. It's not who take the first shot, it's who take the last shot. Good evening, Shondell Griffith. Good evening, Denise Booker. Good evening, Neville Setal, known as Civic. Civic, a pleasant good evening to you. All right. Gavin Caesar, I see you, sir. Good evening. Good evening. So, we have work to do. And Guyanese, please turn out in your numbers on Tuesday. Turn out in your numbers. Don't hang out behind the keyboard. Come out in your numbers. Okay? This is not just about Melissa. This is about freedom of speech. Okay? You cannot have a government sitting there and trying to infringe on your liberties as a Guyanese. And look where Melissa is. She's all the way in the United States of America. And they're trying this, much less for you guys on the ground in Guyana. You have to think through the lines. what are they actually attempting to do here? You know, to censor people, you know? So we have to come out. We have to stand up in our stand out there in our numbers, and we have to show them that Guyanese are not tolerating this type of nonsense. Okay? This is a non-compliant government that we're dealing with. Okay, I think all Guyanese should understand that by now. We had census that was conducted. We do not have a census report as yet because what? The PPP is being non-compliant from a transparency perspective. All right. Now, you remember Transparency International, that agency gave us a score of 39? And Irfan Ali and Bara Jagdeo on the PPP was jumping and screaming and saying that that is not fair. That is absolutely fair. That score should not have even been 39. It should have been something lower than 39. With the big drug busts that they had, the one off the coast of Trinidad, the one off the coast of West Africa, with the large sums of cocaine being moved around. It shows you that a lot of people are not comfortable, and they're trying to make as much as they possibly could because they are not assured, right, that they are going to win the upcoming general and regional elections. That is what that is showing me. Okay, let's make as much as we could right now. All right, let's make as much as we could right now. You talk about people at Canoe and stuff like that. When I think of Canoe, I think about what can I give them for Christmas? Maybe some glasses and something, because they're not seeing these things. Buy them, everyone, a pair of glasses, you know? They're not seeing these things. These things are just passing. You know, that's not possible. That is not possible, that all of these drugs can just pass just like that. And, you know, every once in a while, they'll pull in a small man and they'll make a big deal out of it. As if, you know, the sums of drugs in possession of that person is so much. This is a big hit. This is a big find. While the big tonnage has already passed and gone. Right? It's embarrassing us as normal everyday Guyanese. Right? To know that our country, that is quote unquote supposed to be the fastest growing economy, all right, we are being found out in the international seas of having all these drugs moving from country to country. They're gonna start calling Guyana the drug hub just now. The cocaine hub. All of this to show that, hey, come election time, we need to vote accordingly. We need a new government. We need to seat a new government. Okay? In the interim, I ask that we pay attention, though. We need to pay close attention. And why I say close attention is that we cannot allow propaganda. You understand me? We cannot allow propaganda to seat a government in Guyana. Because I believe over the 23 years that the PPP would have been sitting there was a lot of propaganda, and they're coming back with it again. And the chief bottle washer is Bara Jagdeo. I cannot call it a press conference anymore because the viewers, you guys, has ups me a few times. And you guys have told me, Wayne, that's a comedy show. So when you guys speak, I listen. So the comedy show on Thursday, that's where all the propaganda Because this guy comes out and he talks a lot. He doesn't break down anything for the people. Okay, he just comes out, he shuffles papers. This Thursday he was very nervous shuffling the papers because he is not assured as to what is going to happen with this upcoming elections. You can see it, you can feel it. He's not sure, but he wants to give the projection or give the portrayal that he is confident. He's not. Ladies and gentlemen, Barry Jagdeo is not confident about this upcoming elections because there's a lot of PPP voters who are not satisfied. Okay? And are threatening to stay home. No, they don't need to stay home. They need to come and vote the other way. They need to be a part of change. Staying home is not the best option. You need to come and be a part of that change. When that change come about, you must be able to tell your children and your grandchildren that you cast a ballot in favor of that change. We have to stop being arrogant to facts. Okay? You vote to issues. When you born on your birth certificate, it doesn't say that you must vote PPP for the rest of your life. You look at the party that is going to address best the issues that are facing you and your family. And you align yourself with that party and you vote. Okay? Don't stay home. Because when you stay home, you're shortchanging yourself. You're dismissing yourself from being a part of that change. Maybe your vote was a critical vote that would have been needed to put the coalition, across the line. So you need to get out there and you need to do what you don't need to be ashamed. You think the government was ashamed of what you think the government is ashamed of what they have done to you guys for the last 5 to 6 years? They're not ashamed. They're doing what they got to do. The government officials are filling their pockets. They don't care about you guys. Okay? So we got to move this country forward. I'm going to segue into the Critchlow Labor College. And I know most of you would have already seen in the news that there was a fire there that has gutted the Critchlow Labor College. Right? That's not a good thing. There are students there. Right? There are people taking classes. There's all kind of stuff going on at the Critchlow Labor College. Right? And this is gonna put them, this is gonna put them in a very, very tough situation. I don't know if there's an alternative building or something that people can work out of and try to make the best of it. But I know Comrade Lincoln Lewis is very close to the Critchlow Labor College, and he would have put out a statement. I haven't gotten an opportunity to listen to his statement, but I just want to say to all the people, the teachers, the staff, the leaders at Critchlow Labor College, hold your heads up. The Guyanese people are thinking about you and they're thinking about that facility because that facility has done a lot, for many over the years. There are PPP ministers and people involved in the PPP that would have attended Critchlow Labor College. There's people from all walks of life in Guyana that would have attended Critchlow Labor College. Okay. And I'm very saddened because, you know, I'm going to elaborate a little bit on that gold program. And I believe that gold program, to the extent it would have really, you know, been something that would have been slated, something authentic, because right now, with what we're seeing with that gold program, it doesn't paint a picture to me as a public accountant that it is something authentic. It paints a picture to me as if it's just another corrupt deal with the PPP, right? It's just painting a picture to me that it's another corrupt deal with the PPP. Now, chartered accountant Mr. Christopher Ram would have asked for a forensic audit. So has AFC member and what would you call it? Call her the shadow minister of finance, Miss Joretta Finance. She would have called for the same thing. And myself as a public accountant, I am calling for the same thing, a comprehensive forensic audit to be done into that whole goals program. I am strongly of the belief that fraud will be uncovered, wrongdoing will be uncovered. And when I say a comprehensive forensic audit, I mean line by line items. We must see the amount of students that was registered. We need to see the cost for a student. You know, we need to see everything. We need a full breakdown of everything. We need to see who the lecturers were, how much they were earning, everything. All the checks and deposits that were made, whether it's electronic deposits, whatever it is, we would need to see all of that. And we would need to compile a report at the end. But I am quite sure that we will see a lot of inconsistencies. Okay. And this, and I'm not just relating to the goals program here. All right. I'm not just relating to the goals program here, but for now I'm narrowing it down to the goals program. The goals program would be my target right now. You know, these things need to be investigated. The government needs to be accountable to the Guyanese people. Okay, the Guyanese people are losing a lot. All right, they are losing a lot. A lot of monies are being allocated to different industries, whether it be education, whatever it is. But the monies are being allocated. We're not getting breakdowns, right? There is no public accounts committee. You're right. And look, there is a public accounts committee, but I'm saying there's no public accounts committee because it's not doing anything for the Guyanese people. I believe that committee should be a committee of members that are not sitting in government. All right. You should have a committee of members. Let's say you pick 2 or 3 people from the diaspora. You know, you have a few people on the ground in Guyana, right? It needs to be out of the hands of anybody who is sitting in parliament. That way the work, these people can come together and form a quorum and the work can be done. Right now here, the Guyanese people have not been holding the government accountable, so nobody cares about accounting for the spendings. We have not done 1 year under the PPP yet. I think they're still stuck in the coalition years. That is shameful. That is shameful. And who is heading the Public Accounts Committee? No other than Jermaine Figueroa. That's why sometimes I have to get upset with that guy. And I'm to some extent, I'm a bit peeved at the opposition also. Because you should remove him from there. You should remove him and replace him with somebody else. He is too user-friendly to the PPPC. He is too user-friendly. He reports on other matters. We don't want him to report on other matters. He's not dealing with youth and sport anymore. Honorable Nima Flubes is dealing with that. We need consistent reports on the Public Accounts Committee. When are we going to get into 2020, 2021, 2022? Those are the critical years. When are we going to get there? 10 years from now? You see, Guyanese, you got to understand. This is what these people do. Okay? They let the years go by, right? The issues are not fresh, right? Because when we're going to be in 2029, and we're now going to be talking about, hey, the Public Accounts Committee is working on the year 2020, the calendar year 2020. We got to go back and dig, right? That shouldn't be the case. A Public Accounts Committee should be closing out the books for the country at least the minimum, the second quarter of the year after. So let's say we're in 2025 now. By June, we should be closing out 2024 calendar year. Why are these things happening in Guyana? Why are these things happening in Guyana? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this. I am of the belief that, you know, all the politicians, until they prove me wrong, I am of the belief that all the politicians get into politics and is just looking to make their money and operate their businesses. They don't care about the business of the Guyanese people. And that's where I'm having a problem. That's where we're having a major disconnect. Because how are you going to accept a job where you're getting paid a salary and you're not executing your duties? I've heard some people talk about, oh, the salary is not much. And well, if it's not much, don't agree to it. Give the job to somebody else who is going to come in and bell the cat. Don't accept it and then complain. Right? Do not accept. I see, ladies and gentlemen, I see someone is saying no sound. Are we good with the song? Am I audible? Can you guys hear me? Just want to make sure. You guys can tell me in the comments if you can hear me. Ian Bino, good. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, sir. Frank Rice, yep. Thank you, everyone. Good, we're audible. Yeah, man, our politicians got to start holding up for the people, man. We have to get serious. We have to get very, very serious, man. You see what's going on now? You have the larger economies coming into the small economies and just tearing them to shreds. All right? We need stronger leaders to get out there and make good deals. Good deals that's going to bring equity to the Guyanese people. Look, the PPP go there. They don't even report all the oil fines to the Guyanese people. I have to get Dr. Vincent Adams here because we have to talk a little bit about oil and gas. Right? The oil fines are not being reported to the Guyanese people. And that's what I'm saying. The government is non-compliant. They are non-compliant. They don't care about the Guyanese people. Now they're talking about shortage of what? Shortage of trained workers. Right? You guys heard Joe Hamilton and his whole riff from the PPP internal manifesto. These guys are showing us exactly who they are. Sanjeev Dattadin did it a few weeks ago. Bharat Jagdeo done it. Right? Joe Hamilton is now doing it. Right? And you guys see what Freddie Kissoon would have called the viewing audience or people who supports Dr. Hines. Now, to me, When you're going to call supporters of the other party outside of their names, I think that's a major problem. I don't believe you call people outside of their name, right? But it just shows you what is written in the PPPC internal manifesto, right? That's what's coming to the forefront now, where elections is upon us. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is what you see. This is where you see exactly what people are made of. Okay? You see exactly what they are made of. Don't worry about them walking up in your community and trying to be nice, knocking on your door. And that's deception. That's deception. I believe politicians should have an innate love for the people that they serve. How can you serve a people who you don't love, who you don't care about? Right? And you can't just tell them you love them. You have to display it, your actions. Right? What is it saying? Say what you mean and mean what you say. Okay? Because behind closed doors, these politicians just say some of the most atrocious things. The most atrocious things. And I'm going to say this to all Guyanese. After 5 years, 5 going on 6 years of extraction, and I say this before, with you guys, all you guys could have gotten from with regards to equity is 480, 490 US dollars. And you guys gonna attempt, some of you, and I'm not talking about you listeners and viewers here. I'm not talking about you, but this show is gonna get out to a lot of people. They're gonna attempt to keep this same government in place because you see a couple of buildings. Because you see a couple of what you want to call it? Highways that's sinking. Roads, streets that are slim that 2 cars cannot pass simultaneously. You call that development? I want to say this to Guyanese. Look at where you were before 2020 and look where you are now. Okay? Use that as your gauge. And don't forget that your country, the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, was the fastest growing economy throughout all those years. I want you guys to keep that in mind. You are getting a cash transfer in an election year. University, free university, was reintroduced in an election year. What picture does it paint? What picture does it paint? Ian, by now I see your question. We're getting to that. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that. I'm not gonna forget your question. I'm gonna get to that. All these things are being reintroduced in an election year. Look, we are smart here. You guys are smart. And I know you guys understand that these things are election pitches by the PPP. Now, how you're making election pitches using government resources? We don't have campaign rules in Guyana, rules and regulations. We don't. You hear, oh, this family give this party 30 million, this family get. Look, and the people of Guyana got to understand this. Look, I'm not trying directly to hit anybody here. I'm not trying to hit anybody here. But what I'm saying is that if somebody give $30 million or whatever to a party, and 53% of Guyanese is living in poverty, that person who gave that $45–50 million to that party to win the election, that person is contributing to the Guyanese people living in poverty. So when some of you guys want to run out and meet and greet people like if they're God, you understand me? I'm just trying to make you guys understand what's happening here. Because I will not support any party that will not put the Guyanese people first. I will not. And as long as I'm on program, any government that I see is ill-treating Guyanese. And when I say ill-treating Guyanese, any ethnic group, I'm going to attack them. I'm going to attack them. I don't care who you be. Look, my crusade, my campaign is to the people of Guyana. All 6 ethnic groups that I feel can live together in harmony. I believe that this whole thing of racism in Guyana, 90% of it starts and ends with the PPPC. When you have people like Sanjeev Dattadin, Anil Nandalal, Bharat Jagdeo, Joe Hamilton, Freddie Kissoon, and them coming out and saying the things that they're saying. And to my Indo-Guyanese brothers and sisters, there is enough of these programs going around, man. That should be teaching you guys, man, that this is not about race. This is about issues. This is about equal distribution of wealth. This is about equity across the board for all Guyanese. This is what it's all about. Talks with regards to a coalition government should be wrapping up at the end of next week. Right? Talks of a coalition government should be wrapping up at the end of next week. Right? So we have a lot of things happening. Right? Sister Melly Mel will be facing a judge. Coalition talks will be wrapping up next week. Next weekend. If they need every single day in March, we are going to allow them the latitude. But I'll say this. I'm not threatening anybody, but those talks, I hope the end result is positive. Why I say this? Because the Guyanese people have been waiting. They have been calling for this since last year, after the AFC and the PNCR's biannual elections. Right? We need unity. We need a unified front. Ian Bino, my brother, Ian Bino says, Wayne, we cannot win an election with Aubrey Norton. Ian, how do we know this? Why are you preempting? Why are you preempting? You cannot preempt. If it is Aubrey Norton that is the presidential candidate, we all have to rally around him. We cannot jump to the conclusion that we cannot win an election with him. We cannot. Come on, look, I don't want to be critical of anybody, but come on. What you saying here? That goat bite Mr. Norton? Yeah, I'm by now looking for your response comments, you know. Victor Ben, any one of you guys who want to respond, please. Anybody who want to respond for that matter. For a matter of fact, I'm going to give you guys some work in the comments. I'll give you guys some work in the comments. How many of you believe that we can win an election with Comrade Norton at the helm? Look, Mr. Norton may not be out there as much as people would like him to be. Okay? But that does not mean that there is a disconnect between him and the people. Whenever he shows up, they're there. Whenever he shows up, they're there. I think where the falling out has happened here is where people want to see more robust, all right, consistent protests. Now, what are they going to use as a gauge? They're going to be like, hey, look, we had a rally at the Square of the Revolution for Melissa Atwell and nothing happened. That's what they're going to use as the gauge. So when it comes to protests, I would also say to the PNCR, Mr. Norton and his team, we cannot preempt. Dr. Hines has said it, and I agree with Dr. Hines. Okay? If we are having a non-violent protest, where we are just protesting issues, whether it's a new voters list or whatever it is, nobody has the right, okay, to come into that protest and start destruction. They should be heading to the hospital. I agree with that. I agree with that, especially if they were sent. When Barry Jagdeo and the PPP was protesting the coalition between 2015 and 2020, did anybody go into the crowd and start any issues that were sent by the opposition? For a matter of fact, nobody went into those crowds and start any issues. So we cannot preempt. We cannot preempt and say that, oh, this person is going to do this. Oh, they're going to do. No. No, we need to stop that. We need to stop that. No. Miss Rhonda Lane, you know, she's not very pleased because she's seen a lot of other initiatives that are being supported by the people, that are being planned, okay, and supported. And we're missing the ball when it comes to the protest in front of GCOM. And she's been there. I don't know, maybe 3 years Miss Rhonda Lane has been there, probably more. Miss Rhonda Lane, I see that you're on the program. Please enlighten and edify me to how many years you've been out there. You've been going out there every Tuesday. Beverly Ann Romaine, Norton is my president. Dennis Booker, Wayne, we fed up, but we not giving up. Will Winston Kilkenny, Mr. Norton is the only one with the integrity and experience, is that it? And experience to lead this country. All right. All right, you guys are letting your, what is Carla saying? Carla is saying Mr. Norton can make it if he gets the support of a coalition. Compton all. Mr. Norton for president, we will win. Hey, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not just saying this because I want to say it. Okay? What Compton just said there, we will win. I believe that. I honestly believe that. Okay? The PPP has dug themselves a hole so deep. So deep. When you're going to ignore the cries of the Guyanese people and your budgets is going to be so lopsided in favor of infrastructure, that means you're building a country and ignoring its people. When you talk about you need to bring in 500 Bengali nurses to Guyana, okay? When you open up your borders and you let in Venezuelans as much as, they want to come in for the most part, you have sent a direct message to the Guyanese people that there is no equity in the country for them. You guys prefer to see a better Guyana without the people. The PPPC wants Linden, The PPPC wants Linden. Linden is a beautiful place. And I have only seen Linden through photographs. When the next time I go back to Guyana, I'm gonna call up the guys in Linden and let those guys take me around and show me Linden. The whole thing, everything, Kakwani everywhere, Ichuni everywhere. But through pictures, Linden is a beautiful place. And I could see why the PPP would want Linden. You could build out resorts. You can do all kind of things. Linden can become a resort town as well as a mining town. Okay? There's a lot of... Linden is rich. Rich in everything. But here, what's the issue? The PPP wants Linden, but it doesn't want the people of Linden. You understand? That's the problem. That is the problem. And I'm going to tell you guys something. And this is probably for both sides of government. One can be educated, but still uneducated. Right? And why I say still uneducated? Because they haven't taken the time to sit down and study certain matters. Right? We are on the ground in Guyana having ethnic wars. The PPP and the racist talks. Jagdio, come to the United States and stand up next to me. And let a Caucasian person walk by and see what he or she says. There goes two African American men. That's what they're going to say. So that's just to show you guys how dense you are. You understand me? Putting the Guyanese people against each other. That's how dense you are. And every time you guys come on the comedy show on Thursdays, you talk about we don't have enough of this, we don't have... Look, government, ladies and gentlemen, it's a complex thing. Some people just talk about, we need to get some businessmen to run Guyana. No. A business and a government is two different things. People, please don't get tired up. A business and a government is two different things. All right? A business is for profit. Not every agency in a government is for profit. Okay? So you got a lot of balancing to do. When you're doing a budget, you got to balance the budget. You got to understand that it's not everything is going to be for profit. You're going to understand you're going to have this amount, you're going to estimate this amount of taxes coming in. It's a lot of checks and balances in government. Are there certain areas that is compatible with a business where they're going to... Yes, absolutely. But not because somebody is a successful businessman, it's going to make them a successful president. Let me be clear on that. Okay? Let me be very clear on that. You don't just walk in and call yourself the president of Guyana and think that Look, you got to be able to convince the resources around you. You understand me? They have to be able to buy your vision. And by the way, the vision is not going to be the president's vision when you talk about a coalition. It's going to be that coalition vision. And that's where also in a coalition government, you have to be careful when you're choosing a presidential candidate. Because you cannot choose somebody who wants to act alone. Okay? It's a quorum. We are all together. We all have a vision. We all gonna sit down and we are gonna plan and make our decisions. We are not gonna have a president who is gonna be a runaway train making unilateral decisions without consulting the people around him. Decisions need to be bilateral. President, people around him. Ian Bino, I believe the coalition can win an election with Aubrey Norton as the presidential candidate. I believe the coalition can win an election with Nigel Hughes as the presidential candidate. Many might want to believe that, oh, David Hines. But I'll tell you guys this. I believe that the coalition can also win an election with David Hines as the candidate. A lot of people have got Dr. David Hines incorrect. You know, you need to watch him. You need to understand what he's saying. Okay? What he does, he takes people to school. So you have to dig deep. You have to use your brain power to understand what he's saying. Dr. Hines is one of the only people who've ever called for a national government. He's one of the people who've called for a national government. And a lot of Indians have him done as a racist. Right? How can a man call for a national government and still be a racist? That is not possible. But I want to say this, in a coalition government, Dr. Hines have a critical role to play. And you notice, he's already aligned his party and they're ready to work. Okay? He's been waiting. He's been waiting. So hopefully his wait come to an end at the end of this month. And, you know, this coalition government, and for the smaller parties, it's a large umbrella. Come under the umbrella. Bring your votes. You don't have any other option. What are you going to do? Go with the PPP? Then you're being disingenuous to the Guyanese people. You're being disingenuous to the Guyanese people. Okay? If you're going to align yourself with the PPP. I'm sorry to say this, ladies and gentlemen. But that red cup, don't let them fool you with that cup. That cup is empty. There's nothing in there for you. That cup is not going to change your life. That cup is not going to bring you prosperity. Instead, okay, it's going to be continuous poverty. So my message to the Guyanese people is go get a nice coconut water and go sit down underneath a palm tree. And there's where you place your ballot. I want to say this also, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be fooled by any member of parliament who is determining that they don't want to work with the leader in the PNCR and these type of things. No, the PNCR has a constitution. Okay? The PNCR has a constitution. And that constitution needs to be respected. And I'm sure that there's nothing written in that constitution that says that a member can walk, a member of parliament can walk off and go and say that they're supporting somebody outside of their leader. You understand me? This is serious. Because, you know, you guys might want to know why am I elaborating on this, because it is selfish, man. When I see that, I'm saying, well, what happened to the Guyanese people? Remember what I'm here for. So you cannot wrong me for saying what I'm saying. I'm here for the Guyanese people. So everything I want to be in their favor. That's what I'm here for. Everything must be favorable to the Guyanese people. When MPs are going to walk away from the leader, and ladies and gentlemen on the ground, the voters on the ground, do not be moved by that. Go and put your vote where you may. Things are going to come together. Right? When those results come in, and it shows that that coalition has crossed the line first, people can't come running back to post. Don't come, keep walking away. Keep on walking away. Don't come back, because you're disingenuous. You're disingenuous. That's what you are, disingenuous. You got to remember this. Today for somebody else, tomorrow may be for you. What if tomorrow many of you is sitting in the same position that Comrade Norton is sitting in? You are going to want people to respect you. Oh, I better not be doing programming. I better not be doing programming, because you guys going to get such a tongue lashing. You think it's just so you just pick up yourself and make a unilateral decision where you just walk off, and you're serving a people. You're serving a party. You're supposed to display love for that party, and by extent love for the people that supports that party. How can you walk off and leave your leader? I prefer to see you and your leader having arguments rather than you turning your back and walking away and leaving him. Listen, understand this. Nobody in this world is perfect. I am not perfect. And I'm sure you guys gonna look at yourself and say, hey, I'm not perfect either way. Everybody has their shortcomings. Remember, a building is as strong as its foundation. You know, everybody have the highest of expectations of the leader. But nobody's now looking at the type of support that he or she is getting. We have to play this thing fair. Right? And this here is not the time to determine, oh, we want this person coming. No, let them talk. Let them talk, and let's wait for their decision. Let's give them the latitude to speak, and we wait on their decision. This here, if I call on all my social media presenters, this is a time of unity. We can't wait till last minute to say that we unifying and we expect to win the elections, man. Come on, we got to think. We got to think, and we got to think outside of the box. Give them the latitude to speak. If there's going to be, you know, what? A candidate that is not Dr. Hines, Comrade Hughes, or Comrade Norton, let them make that decision. Let them make that decision. But they ought to bring, if that's going to be the case, they ought to bring a good candidate before us. Because you know what? The three of them would have made the bed already for that candidate. And that candidate is basically coming and laying in the bed without doing much. So you got to make sure that that candidate have respect for what was done before he or she would have gotten there. We have to make sure that that's the case. We have to make sure that that candidate is people-centric and is always Guyana first. You see what's Trump's slogan? Make America great again. Well, we want to make Guyana great again. And any deal that we are making must bring equity to Guyana and its people. Not because we are a small country, it means that people must come and take advantage of us. We are a sovereign, independent nation. With what's supposed to be a representational democracy. Although we see, right? Although we see with the One Guyana logo slogan showing up in you guys' passports, the Guyanese passport, you people on the ground in Guyana, you guys are accepting that. A party slogan. That's not the national motto. One Guyana is not something that is national. Let me make that clear. There's nothing national about One Guyana. One people, one nation, one destiny is our national motto. You guys need to read through the lines. Barry Jagdeo has close ties to Russia and worse yet, the People's Republic of China. We are a democracy. Okay? We are not going to become a communist state, whereby the PPP is going to be the Guyana Communist Party that's going to be leading and controlling everything. You MPs that are walking away from the leader, you guys don't understand what is happening, you know. The PPP is trying to weaken the PNCR and the coalition from a holistic perspective. That's how you have a one-party state. Because that large party and the PPP is the party that has all the resources at, their disposal. So what they're doing, they're penetrating the coalition, paying people to turn their backs and do all the things that they're doing. Weaken the opposition so that they can continue to lock off Guyana, lock off development and equity for the normal Guyanese citizen. We have to stay focused. Guyanese on the ground, your eyes have to be peeled. Mothers, to the mothers who got sons that are in the Guyana police force, speak to them. Tell them don't hoard their mati. Tell them don't hoard the citizens. Listen to them. It's the same taxes that those citizens must pay. Is that must pay their salary. Treat our citizens with dignity and respect. Our citizens must be able to voice their opinion. It should always be freedom of speech in Guyana. People have a right to talk. We had a coalition in place. Nobody never get locked up for speaking. The PPP protest. Jagdeo was so active in opposition. The same latitude should be allowed to the opposition and the Guyanese people. It's not a one-way street. Oh, but you guys so yearn. You guys so yearn to keep power. You're yearning for power. Jagdeo, you're all about power and wealth. I'm still waiting for that touching comedy show where you're going to tell the Guyanese people how much you care about them. I'm still waiting. Look, man, we are smart people, right? We see what happened when Venezuela incorporated, right? Everybody fly out to Dubai. Guyana to Panama, Panama to Dubai. Come on, Guyanese. Let's get a little wiser. Let's get a bit wiser. You know, I didn't get to read fully into the piece, but I saw Irfan Ali put out a piece where he was talking about, you know, they're going to put efforts in place to strengthen the Guyana Defense Force to provide better protection for Guyanese. We don't want just protections, Irfan Ali. We want a strong army, an army that is able to stand up and fight a Venezuela until help comes, right? Not just an army that is a reactive army. We have to be proactive. We have to put measures in place that Venezuela must think twice before encroaching upon us. Okay? We are not prey for Venezuela. You get that straight. We are not prey for Venezuela. All right? Maybe you may not understand, okay? Because it is not your ancestors, you understand me, that would have came to Guyana, all right? And fight for some of the freedoms. Okay? Guyana belongs to us. It belongs to us. We don't want to be in a holding position. No. No, we want to be able to defend ourselves. You now talking about putting defenses in place and strengthening our army. It's not today that Venezuela started to infringe and started to make attempts to annex Essequibo, which is 2/3 of our country's landmass. It is not today. They have been doing it for some time now. You guys have sat there for 23 years. You are the ones that have sat there for 23 years. You've done nothing. Now you're talking about strengthening. When we done had 5 years of the oil boom, and we should have been using some of that revenue. We should have been using some of the monies in those budgets that were solely put for infrastructure to strengthen our Guyana Defense Force, to make it more equitable for young soldiers by paying them a little more and doing a little more for them, whether it's giving them a house slot after 3 years of service, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it may, whatever you guys wanted to put in place. But you guys are so busy thinking about making money and putting it into your own pockets that you're not paying attention to Guyana. You're not paying attention. You guys penetrate and corrupted the Guyana Police Force. Not allegedly. That's what the Guyana Police Force is. It's a disgrace. Talking about the Guyana Defense Force. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you guys are aware that Sheriff Security is more equipped than the Guyana Defense Force and the Guyana Police Force. Okay? I hope that you guys are aware of that. Okay? If you are not, I'm letting you know now. Guyana Police Force should have about 2 helicopters. Okay? The Guyana Defense Force should have about 4 or 5 helicopters. Hey, it's not, we didn't make a little bit of money, you know, over those 5 years. Okay? I think I did calculations here with you guys, but I'll have to resurface those and we'll have to go over those. Okay? And we also going to take a check as to what was allocated to the Guyana Defense Force. Okay? I can only tell you what was allocated, right? Because it's obvious that the Public Accounts Committee is doing anything. So we don't have the line items where we could go line by line. Right? We have the the aggregate allocation. Well, okay, I'm giving 5 billion or whatever it is that you want to give to the Guyana Defense Force. But we're not able to source where those monies went. You see, that's the problem, guys. When you do budgets, you could talk about, oh, this is allocated to the Ministry of Education. This is allocated. We want to be able to source and see where the money went. How much of that money that was allocated was actually used? What projects were they used on? How much did you pay for raw material? How much did you pay for labor? Some people like to call and say, Wayne, you should bring breakdowns. Nothing is available. I cannot come here and make up numbers. In order for an accountant to work, he needs to have his numbers. You have to give me numbers. We cannot make up numbers. If I have prior year numbers, ladies and gentlemen, I can do, an estimate, right? Based on prior year or the last 5 years. I could aggregate them, and then I can get an average, and I can use that average. But sometimes I prefer to use the prior year only, because I think that that's going to be more close to accurate rather than doing the average years, the average of 5 or 10 years, because there would be fluctuations in that period of time. We have to get better. We have to get better as a country. The people of Guyana needs to start holding government more accountable. You can't blame government for not doing this and not doing that when you're not holding them accountable. The government is sitting there because of you. Guyana belongs to you, not the guy, not the PPP. Guyana don't belong to the PPP. Was Jack Dior given the 83,000 square miles title for Guyana? Come on, man. You guys need to stop. We need to get serious. We need to make any government that's in place in Guyana, the first thing we need to make sure that they are compliant along all lines. If we're exploring and we have a new oil find, it needs to be this close to the Guyanese people just about immediately. Who you think the oil well belongs to? The people of Guyana, not the PPP, not Vikram Bharat or any one of them. Why you think all of you guys that are in politics, why you think you got into politics? Of course, a lot of you would have your own ulterior motives. But the reason that one should get into politics should be because that person have an appetite to serve people. That's the first thing you need to have. An appetite to serve. Not serve yourself and your pockets. All of you guys just get into politics and you guys got mansion and castles and all of these kind of things. You guys are on yachts taking out pictures and all of this stuff. And what about the Guyanese people? They sit down living in poverty in their own country like lappy dogs. These are the facts. And listen, it doesn't matter which official is coming and visit Guyana. The Guyanese people must not be moved. The Guyanese people must not be moved. Guyana belongs to you, not no official. He don't know what you have to go through. He does not know what you're dealing with. So y'all don't allow anybody to show up in your country and y'all fall prey to them. And you think that when you step up and you come and you shut our sister up, you try to shut her up. Oh, there's not going to be voices of dissent? Oh, this voice is always here and this voice is going to always be here. I live it true to facts. I'm a professional, okay? And I always operate within the ambits of the law. I'm not a felon. I never had 19 fraud charges. Nobody never came and see Wayne C's in his living room making a deal with Sue. Nobody have not seen none of the three leaders, Comrade Norton, Comrade Hines, Comrade Hughes. Nobody and see them lock up in their living room making a deal with Sue. None of them have fraud charges. None of them, their hands are not tied to extrajudicial killings. So, ladies and gentlemen, come on. Come on. That is what wins elections. That is one of the criteria that win election. How much baggage are you bringing me? People worship a guy who you saw in his living room making a corrupt deal. And people are worshiping him. Oh, our VP. Come on. I'm not going to call you guys outside of your names like Freddie Kissoon would have called the people that support Dr. Hines. I'm not going to do that. But come on, man. I know your minds can't be that lazy that you don't understand what you was looking at there. That's not something that's coming from Wayne Caesar's mouth. We saw the video. The evidence is there. We can't, look, if we want to sanction people, we can't sanction people conveniently. If the US is going to do sanctions in Guyana, you got to sanction everybody. You got to sanction everybody. That video is right there. Where is the sanctions? The video is right there. What video do we have of Melissa Atwell? You see, I like to do star comparisons, you know. I like to do comparisons. Where is the video of Melissa Atwell making a corrupt deal? Where is the evidence of Melissa Atwell 19 fraud charges? Where is the evidence that show Melissa Atwell is tied to extrajudicial killing? Where is it? Everybody want to talk, so then let's talk. Let's talk. Everybody wants to talk, so let's talk. Rice farmers, you guys are going through a struggle right now. Okay? Now when you get the support from government, you say, okay, I'm good with my rice. Back to business. There's other things happening out there. There's other things you need to support out there. You don't just need to come out and cry when the government doesn't do something for you. You see, that's the problem we got in Guyana. That's the problem we got in Guyana. Right? When one Afro-Guyanese kid get executed, everybody hold their kid tight to them. Come son or come sons. And that family alone is left there to deal with everything. No. That's when we come together and we make sure that it never happens again. Because today can be somebody else, but tomorrow can be your child and your family. I've been asking on many programs for somebody to send me information that showed that a child in Guyana was shot down under the coalition 2015 to 2020. You see this lawlessness that has happened under the PPPC. And then you see in the poll, you see the highlight. It says, businessman shot teenager or businessman. Look, man, Look, them stuff don't impress me. It just shows me what a failure the PPPC has been to the Guyanese people. You, the PPPC, you guys have failed young people. You guys have failed young people over the last 5 years. You should have instituted free university, reintroduced free university the first day you got into government. But you choose to starve Guyanese people of a university education until you was ready to make it as a pitch towards elections. Guyanese, man, you guys got to show me that y'all are smart, man. You guys got to really show me that y'all are smart. We cannot keep going down this same road because the results are going to be absolutely the same. Okay? It's been 5 years now. We are coming up on another election cycle here. 5 years now that the PPP has been there. Have they shown you that they're going to pivot and become a people-centric government? No. These people are the ones responsible for Guyanese not getting that university education over 23 years. And now they come back and contradicting them, their own selves, by saying that we don't have educated and skilled workers. How can you? Joe Hamilton, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Very ashamed of yourself. Show me the programs that you got in place to empower and edify young Guyanese and give them the motivation to want to work. Show me the programs that you got in these youths that have lost their way and might be picking pockets and thinking about robbing people and doing all these type of things. Show me the programs that you got in place and the people that you have walking around the street that is speaking to these young people, encouraging them to come and do a trade. Show me the people on the ground where we are making all this oil revenue and we're pulling in all this oil revenue. You can pull in people to train them and give them a little stipend. Look, I got a good friend of mine. I'm not even going to call his name. He's an expert when it comes to body work, working on car bodies. He's an expert. He's not good. He's not great. He's an expert. And you know, many times he calls me and he said, Wayne, I don't have anybody to do this work. You know, I want to train some people. He should have been able to go to the government and said, look, man, I need 5 young people to teach and train. And the government would be like, hey, we are going to pay these young people a stipend. You are responsible for telling us if they show up to work or not. And you're going to teach them, train them. And they should also give something to that business owner for training and teaching those students and getting them up to par and ready to work. The PPP lacks vision, ladies and gentlemen. They lack vision when it comes to the normal man on the ground. They don't see the normal man on the ground as anything. Hence the reason Guyana don't even have a middle class. Guyana don't have no middle class. There's rich and there's poor. There's no middle class in Guyana. There's no middle ground in Guyana. We are a we are the fastest growing economy, but yet a poverty-stricken nation. Right? The same nation that was once the breadbasket of the Caribbean. The same nation that can't even attain food security. Could you believe that we are so rich? Our soil is so rich. We can plant just about everything. And we don't have food security in our own country. And we got less than 1 million people. You guys help me understand these things. Just help me understand these things. And people are thinking about going and keeping this current government. Not a chance. Not a chance. Not a chance. We got people lined up all over the place waiting for a piece of land in their own country. Now, this becomes a bigger issue now because now you have Venezuelans on the ground. And they also is in search of a piece of land in Guyana. So how is that equitable to the normal born and bred Guyanese? Barjagdio, you are the one. You guys are the ones who distributed birth certificates and all these things to the Venezuelans. How you think Venezuela know when to encroach on Essequibo or come and annoy us by coming into our waters? The agents are on the ground in Guyana, and they are relating the information back across the border into Venezuela. What do you think is happening, Barjagdio? I know you're not that dunce. What you guys think is happening? So when you guys think that you are covering a voting issue that you guys may have, whether it is that you guys do your survey and you guys see that you're about 25,000 votes or 30 or 50,000 votes short, and you figure out that you want to try to solve that issue by bringing in Venezuelans, telling them that they'll find more equity living in Guyana, and, you know, they're going to help to pad up your votes. I don't know. It has not seemed to have worked. And for you people in Venezuela, you Venezuelans that are on the ground in Guyana, look how your Mati Guyanese is living. You think that it's going to be different for you? Think again. Think again. Do a little looking up and look at the history of this PPPC party. Okay? Do your homework. All right? And you'll see what the PPPC is about. They brought you in. They let you into Guyana. They provided you with birth certificates for one reason. And that one reason is to vote PPPC. Okay? They didn't bring you and give you a birth certificate and tell you that, oh, we're going to provide you with a much better life than you was experiencing in Venezuela. No. You can only get that if you pivot and you vote for a coalition government. A coalition government is a group of parties where you have a lot of people sitting at a table. The table is now one-dimensional with one set of people. And the one thought process and the one vision of those people is to enrich themselves. A coalition government is a government for the Guyanese people, by the Guyanese people, because it brings multiple parties together. Okay? And that's what we are looking for. We are looking for unity. Okay? We are looking for unity. All right? Unity should be our slogan going forward. We all need to be on the same page on a unified front. Just like how we are all in unity for our sister Melissa, let that bleed in, okay, to a unified front when we look at ourselves as a coalition. All right. Remember, we all have, you know, what would I want to call it? We all have different perspectives. Our perspectives are diverse. We have diverse perspectives, but we all should have one common goal, and that is to unite together to unseat the PPPC and to seat a coalition government. All right, my brothers and sisters, we are coming down to program time. Let me just check your comments. See if I find anything. Brother Ian, I hope that I answered your question. You know, I believe that we can win an election with any of the leaders that we have. It all boils down to us, again, coming together as one unit and working in harmony. You know, it can be done. Yes, there's a lot of issues that we are going to disagree on. But sometimes we just have to sit down and say, hey, let's agree to disagree now. And, you know, set up a date. Let's revisit this. You know, if it's two people that disagree, let's revisit this. Maybe in the interim, before that date come to fruition, they would sit down and think about it, and the two of them would come with a real positive outlook and come to a deal. Not everybody on programs is always agree with me, but not because someone does not agree with me, you know, I should be upset. No, you're still my brother. You're still my sister. I love you the same way. We just disagree on one thing, and we're going to agree to disagree, and we can revisit if we want to talk about it again. Right? Yes, Beverly and Romaine, yes. David Hines is very brilliant. Carlisle, David Hines is gravely misunderstood. Yes. Well said, Carlisle. That's putting it the way it needs to be put. All right. Palawala Pride. What about Mr. Glenn Lal, Palawala Pride? Yeah, Mr. Glenn Lal, he has been a voice of dissent. Yes, sometimes I do forget him, but he's important. Mr. Glenn Lal is important. I believe that GHK Lal is also very important. You know, Christopher Ram, who is Christopher Ram, you know, he's an interesting individual also. Not everything that comes from the mouth of Christopher Ram, everyone is going to agree with. Okay. But he is one of my favorites. He's actually one of my favorites. Right? And he's very important to a coalition government. It's a lot of people that has to come together here. Glenn Lal is very, very important. He has been a voice of dissent for some time now. Okay. And I noticed that he really likes to deal with oil and gas. So with a new government, obviously you're going to need an NRF board, right? You're going to need an NRF board. And Glenn Lal loves to ask questions. And he's the type of guy that's not going to accept anything. He's the type of guy that would tell you plain to have a Glenn Lal, Dr. Adams, and a couple of important guys on that NRF board. Those are guys that's going to tell people when they sit down in those boardrooms, hey, look, this deal that you make here, we can't take back to the Guyanese people. You got to come better than that. You understand me? And that's the type of guys you need. You don't want to have guys in place that you tell, hey, take this back. This is the best deal that we can give you. Accept it, or there will be sanctions coming. You understand me? Because of some baggage that they have in their trunk. You want to have clean, authentic people representing the Guyanese people. You want to have clean, authentic people representing the Guyanese people. Oh, Marco Rubio to talk about the Cubans in the medical field. Look, it's not today that Guyana has had bilateral relationship with Cuba. It's not today, yesterday, or the day before that we've had Cuban doctors, Cuban nurses, and stuff in Guyana. Right? It's not a case of where Guyana is taking U.S. secrets and sharing it with Cuba. Look, I know this whole geopolitics thing, but we've had a good relationship with Cuba. We have a good relationship with the United States. That's what it should be. That is what it should be. Nobody shouldn't be coming to Guyana to tell Guyana to cut off dealing with Cuba. Why? Negotiate with Cuba. Continue to talk with Cuba. Continue your talks with them. But don't come and force Guyana to cut off from Cuba. I don't agree with that. Why should we take those type of positions? You know, that's warish, you know? That's borderline bullying. I don't agree with that. Because me and Audrey Brown don't talk, I should tell Ian Baino don't talk to Audrey Brown just because me and her don't talk. Come on, man. That's not right. You guys know that that's not right. We have had a long-standing relationship with Cuba. Okay? They're one of our neighbors. Right? So no, you just can't come and disconnect Guyana and Cuba just like that. Right? They play a massive part in our medical industry. You know? We would have been in big trouble at times if it wasn't for Cuban doctors working in Guyana. Desiree Simon. Judging from the demonstration at the Square of the Revolution for Melissa Atwell, we know that Guyanese are capable of organizing themselves. So let's not hear any more about Norton not coming out. You know something? And Ms. Simons, that's a good point. That's a good point. Once you plan your demonstration, you're doing it peacefully, and you have your massive crowd out there, trust me, the leader is going to join you. A leader is in place to lead from the front. But there are certain issues that, you know, sometimes the leader needs to back off and show everybody that, hey, it's not me that is pushing this narrative. It's the people and what they want. So, Ms. Simons, you are on point there. You are very much on point, and thank you for that comment. Thank you so much for that comment. Beverly Ann Romaine again. The small parties should all come together to get the PPP out. The red cup is shared blood, Mr. Caesar. Well, how can I disagree with that comment? How can I disagree with that comment? What has the red had in it for Guyanese? What have Guyanese gained from putting their vote at the cup? You see the rice farmers, their vote went right at the cup. And it's not just them. The people of Sarah Johanna, their vote went right at the cup until they were bulldozed. Right? Just like the brothers and sisters of Mocha, who was bulldozed, and now on the lands that they were bulldozed off of, you see castles are building. But here, ladies and gentlemen, listen carefully. When the new government is in place, I'm going to hold them accountable for removing whomever went and built on that land. Because you're building on ancestral land, the people who were occupying those lands were bulldozed. Okay? So you're going to got to move just like they have to move. So something got to give. Look, it's not just about going into government and sitting down, you know. They are expectations. All right? Not because there's going to be a new government, which I believe is going to be happening after this 2025 elections, it means that Wayne Caesar is going to disappear. No. I got business to do for the Guyanese people. I have business to do for the Guyanese people. I can't just disappear. I got to make sure that I stay here and make sure that the government is being accountable to the people. Okay? I have to make sure that the government is being accountable to the people. And part of that accountability is that the PPP took this away from us and give it to this person. Well, we're taking it away from this person and giving it back to the people who were officially there. Let them find a way. If it was squatting land, if it was government reserves and they were squatting there or whatever the case is, give them a price. Give them the opportunity to pay for their land and keep it. They've been there first. You're telling me because you're building a highway coming through Mocha? Mocha was purchased by our ancestors. Mocha has always been somewhat a farming community. So when you run a highway through there, what the heck do you expect? What do you expect? You're going to see cattle, you're going to see vegetation, you're going to see this type of stuff. All those of you who live in the United States and Canada, have you guys never driven and see a highway running right through a cattle farm or something of that nature? You've seen it. It's nothing strange. What do you guys want to do? Present the optics when your dignitaries come in that Guyanese are rich? No, Guyana is a rich country. Guyana is a rich country. Guyanese are not rich. 53% of them is not rich because they're directly living in poverty. And then we probably go all the way into the 80s, those who are just living above, nose above water. Come on now. Come on. Check out a few more comments, ladies and gentlemen. Patrick A. Triumph. United we stand, divided we fall. Correct, my brother. Say that louder again. Vashti Magnat, it's a cup load. Yes, yes. It is a cup load. Miss Simons, correct. The presidency is Norton's for the taking. They're going to discuss that. They're going to talk that. They're going to talk about that all week this week. All right. They got to get skipping. Where we're going to be jumping into April. We need a united vision. We need a united coalition vision, you know, to move Guyana forward. We need that by mid-April, man. We got to really start pushing this thing. We got to start pushing this thing. Elections is upon us. So true, Hector. The people of Linden should chase any PPP member when they come to Linden. But instead, they hug and kiss them. Yes, yes, so true, Hector. I have seen things. Where, what the guy name again? Yeah, I see things where people are, you know, wishing O.C. Rogers happy birthday and they doing this and we doing that. O.C. Rogers have been a thorn in the Guyanese people's side. Okay, he's responsible for slapping that lady in that supermarket in Barbies or wherever it was. Right? So, you know, hey. Ian Williams, Aubrey Norton is the person with the political will to lead this country. This country only have two politicians, Jagdeo and Norton. The problem is Jagdeo is not patriotic. He's greedy. Ian, that's well said. Although I'm gonna disagree with you, my brother, on the part that Aubrey Norton is the only politician. No, I believe Dr. David Hines is an excellent politician, and Comrade Nigel Hughes is one of the very best lawyers that we've ever seen in Guyana, and I believe one of the best that we will ever see in Guyana. Palawala Pride, Dr. Hines is an intellect. He got the enemy so confused with that lick bottom strategy. They're stammering and stuttering to this day. Yes, Palawala Pride, they're stammering, they're stuttering, and they're misfiring to this day. You know, yes. Again, I stand with Dr. Hines and his statement. I am not moving away my stance from that. I agree with Dr. Hines. Francine Cruz, you got work to do. Mr. Caesar, there is cause and effect. Brother Aubrey Norton is responsible for most of the problems. How? You got to explain that, Francine Cruz. You got to explain that. And if you want, you could write a nice long explanation and post it on the next show so we could go over that. A Flash, man. Flash said your friend Rick Borg tell black people in Guyana, let them vote for AFC and Mr. Nigel Hughes because they have a vision for black people. Well, Flash, we can't just have a vision for one ethnic group. We got to have a vision for Guyana. Okay? I understand, Flash. I understand your feelings and where you stand because of what would have happened to people that look like you and I. All right? I'm not disagreeing with you. Okay? On that front. Okay, but we got to have a vision for all Guyanese in order to move the country forward. If we have a vision for one ethnic group, that means we are aligning ourselves with the PPP. We are aligning with their vision, which is to see themselves gain ethnic supremacy. Meme, Aris, they are a wicked bunch. You sure, right, Meme? Beverly Ann Roman, I'm a diehard PNC. Nothing, nobody can remove me from there regardless. Yes, look, and I said this earlier in the program. If you are a PNC, it should means that you should walk away from your party. Do not give up. Do not give up. If the lead is working with 5 MPs or 6 MPs or 10 MPs and you have 8 of them that is running in their own direction, that doesn't mean that you don't vote PNC. You vote. Those people are going to be simply replaced. They cannot come running back home and saying that they want a position. No. Nobody making bed for anybody. You got to make your own bed. You got to work. You cannot want to sit down and not do anything but want to reap the benefits. You know, we all have to work. We all have things to do, right? You guys don't take time to come and sit on these programs because you have nothing to do. All right? This is dedication. This is dedication. And you know something? I want to take this time here to really compliment all of you who come on here Saturday night and we sit down and we have our discourses and we talk about our country and the issues that are affecting our country. I got to give you guys a lot of credit. All right? You guys just work harder than some people who are in parliament. You guys show appetite for wanting change. That's why you come on these programs. And I want to take this time to thank you guys because there's no program without you. There's no program without you. There's no program without your comments. So I thank you guys. I thank you guys very, very, very much. Oh, Yanet. Granger vexed because he let a writer son lost Norton won. He was elected not well. Oh boy. Yanet, why do you do these type of things to me? Why is it that you do these things to me? He was elected, not selected. He was elected, not selected. Well, Yanet, you're correct. I agree that, and I think I'm one of the first people that came out and says too much letter writing that's happening. We need to really get going. And where is Joseph Harmon now? I don't see Joseph Harmon having nothing to do with the PNCR. Look, I'm going to say this, guys. If you don't see certain party members showing up at Congress Place, all right, Aubrey Norton or nobody, Comrade Norton, nobody cannot stop anybody from going to Congress Place or a party member. No one can stop you from going to Congress Place if you're a party member. So if one of these guys show up and say they're not wanted, you guys don't buy that nonsense. That is utter nonsense. Okay? If you volunteer yourself, all right, then you volunteered yourself. If you have done nothing and just sat down there, then that's what you did. You sat down there. People just talk about love for party. Where's everybody? There's a lot of things that has contributed to putting Comrade North in the position that he's in now. But can he recover? Yes, he can. You, the people, need to rally around him. He's the one. He's the leader of the largest party in the coalition. And typically, ladies and gentlemen, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, the largest party in the coalition is the one that is allotted the seat of president. Unless the negotiations happen where, you know, by consent, everybody decide, look, we're going to pick this person or a consensual candidate or whatever the case is. But I warn you guys about consensual candidate, right? Remember, the consensual candidate did not make this bed. He or she's just coming to lay in it. Right? And it's like me owning a house and you come into my house, you're going to respect my own home, right? You're going to have a respect that, hey, I work hard for this, right? Vice versa. So, hey, we got to look and see what happens. We have to look and we have to see what happens. All right, the end of the week. We have a lot. We have a lot to digest over this week. All right. We got our sister Melissa Atwell, and we got which should be the closing out of discussions with regards to forming a coalition. All right. Desiree Felix, well said. Unity, yes, unity. Lily Gulliver, dictatorship in full swing. Yes, this is not a democracy. Where is this a democracy? Show me. Where's the democracy? Jagdio on the $2,000 bill. Was that ever agreed upon in Parliament? Because I don't believe that you should just take somebody's name and just put it on you know, on the country's bills just like that. It's like I saying that, oh man, my face should be on the $1,000 bill. You know? Flash Gordon, if PNC MPs used to support Mr. Norton and take people on. Yes, I agree. Flash. I agree. I believe that the MP should have played a massive role in putting together protests, organizing. They should have internally built out committees. They should have had one committee assigned to run the lane, to work and to get people together to be out there on Tuesdays. You know, Rhonda Lane is not is a party member, but she's a normal Guyanese citizen. You know, and for her to take her time and her money, right, every Tuesday to go down and to protest for a greater cause for all Guyanese, you know, and to see her being neglected. Yes, that's what I'm going to call it. Neglected. Yes. This thing with biometrics and a new voters list is something very, very serious and is imperative to winning the 2025 elections. It put you in a much better position to win the, yes, Francine Cruz, I like that, to win the election. Mr. Caesar, we all love Mr. Norton, but he is frustrating us and causing us to lose faith. You know something? I'm going to agree with Francine Cruz before I even finish reading her comment. Why I'm going to agree with her is because I personally feel that Mr. Norton needs to appear on more programs. Mr. Hughes needs to appear on more programs. Dr. Hines is on 5, 6, 7 times a week, you know. And I'm going to bring on Dr. Hines at some point and interview him right here because I have a lot of questions to pose to him. I'm going to bring him right here and interview him. All right. Kenneth Dennis, your comment is a great comment. The sad truth, Wayne, is that democracy means a lot of different things to a lot of people who are supposed to be educated. Well said. I think I spoke on that. Where I said democracy cannot be convenient. Democracy cannot be convenient. It has to be a common belief. All right. If you want to call Guyana a democracy, the PPP cannot be doing what they're doing. You are choosing to sanction certain people who you want to handpick and sanction. Our sister Melly Mel is in detention. She hasn't done nothing nearly to what some members in government would have done. But yet, you know, she's in detention. So, Kenneth, very, very good comment. Come to the front of the class, my brother. Excellent comment. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as we close off, Miss Audrey Brown, our motto, one people, one nation, one destiny. Indeed. My brothers and sisters, all the love in the world to all of you. I want to thank you guys for really joining and participating, man. You guys did an excellent job participating. I got a lot of comments to go through and read. You know, what I'm going to start doing, you know, when I get your comments on, like this week here, when I go through your comments, I'm going to bring back some of those comments on the next program and address them. So keep pushing your comments through, okay? Keep pushing your comments through. Again, we got to stand strong. We got to continue standing together. You guys saw the optics on Thursday at the comedy show. The guy was not comfortable. We have once again placed the PPP on the back foot. Remember, they are the ones with all the financial resources. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have the wherewithal, okay, to see change. We have the strength. We have done it before. We're going to do it again. And we never need to find ourselves as Guyanese in such a compromising position. Going forward in Guyana, Guyana should always be led by a coalition government. It should always be a coalition government if we want fairness, if we want equity for all, okay? There must always be a coalition government in place. We have a runaway train now, and you see what's going on, brothers and sisters. We are now tasked with slapping the brakes on this train, okay? And when we slap the brakes on this train, there should be no recovery. All right? A new government, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of work to be done. The financial infrastructure is controlled by the PPP. We got to pull that down, okay? That's going to probably mean some months or maybe a year of challenges to the Guyanese people. We have to pull that down and rebuild it where there's equity for all Guyanese people, where all individuals are allowed to formulate and put together their businesses. It's not a corrupt industry, okay? Until next week, my brothers and sisters, all the love in the world to you guys. Enjoy the remainder of your weekend. Have love one for another, okay? Until next week, good night, everyone.